Hey, it's Del Jackson. Hello, Hoops. We're doing another Zoom. This time we got Coach Christensen. And Coach is he's been special to us because he's like a major Twitter guy. So, from the beginning of time that he's been on there, and he's helped us kind of grow as we've watched him grow. The nice thing about Coach is he's one of these guys that came up through the ranks. It's like, it's kind of cool to see. So I'm going to start with Coach. I'm going to ask him about his background. I know a little bit about his background, and maybe I'll even ask him some Winchester stuff. So you're on, Coach. Go ahead, buddy. Your background, where you came from, what you've done, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I went to played Manheim Township in high school, went on to Shenandoah University. Then basically, at some point, everybody stops being able to play basketball, whether you're told or not. So that was the end. And then I basically decided that how was I going to keep myself involved with basketball and kind of hopefully give back to some kids the way coaches gave back to me. And so I reached out to Coach Kreider at Manheim Township and asked him if he would be interested in having me. So I became a volunteer assistant with the varsity team that year, which was a pretty good year. We won the section and had a pretty good team. I would say that year I probably did a lot more listening and watching than I did actual coaching, just because you're just so new to it. But it was good to be part of a really good situation. And then that was Coach Kreider's last year, and then Dan Relham was hired, who he gave me opportunities that he never needed to give me, and really gave me the opportunity in the long run to become the coach of Warwick. And actually, my first year with him, I was the JV assistant coach with Jimmy Kreider, Coach Kreider's son. And then from that point became the JV coach, and then got to learn from Coach Relham and Coach Brian Brewer, who was the coach of Warwick back in the 90s, who was the assistant at Township at the time. And then the Warwick position opened up. I knew it was a good town. It was good people. I heard there was a lot of good talent coming up in the program, and applied. And I was only 26, I guess, when I got the job. And I was lucky enough to have to have an athletic director and a school board, and the people at Warwick take a chance on me. And I guess from that point on, the rest has been, I've been at Warwick. So
Nice. Let me ask you this, because a lot of people kind of know the most recent success, but you had to crawl through some glass, dude, to get to where
you ain't lying.
So, like,
yeah.
What was the thought process as you took over the program to kind of where you guys are now?
So my first year, we won 4 games. And I think 3 of them were in the first 4 or 5 games. And then we won 1 game the rest of the year. And it was, we spent a lot of that year working on culture, working on what I wanted to do. Cause it was different, in terms of what we wanted to do offensively than what Coach Landis had before. A lot of the defensive stuff was the same, but a lot of the offensive stuff was drastically different. So it took us a while. I had amazing kids. We had to get some buy-in, because the year before I got there, Coach Landis had a really good team. Mm-hmm. They were really good. So I think I want to say they had 7 or 8 seniors. So my first year, we had 1 kid who played in a varsity game. So you're going in the year, you have 1 guy who's played in a varsity game, a coach who hasn't coached in one, and a whole lot of other players who haven't played in one yet. So we took our lumps. We had a lot of guys start to buy in, especially in the off season. I want to say my first year, we really might have had 1 player playing AAU basketball, whether you like AAU or not. I much rather our guys be playing. I can tell you that. So we started getting some buy-in. We had a lot of guys start playing AAU, working on the off season and making a commitment to getting better. And so the next year we won. I'm gonna say we won 8 games, maybe. I'll say this: that was the one year I thought we were probably better than the amount of wins we had. We had lost a lot of close games. That we had like a 5 overtime game with Hempfield. I actually think we had an entire other game and a half of overtimes that season, which is just ridiculous. But we had some good players. We had Alex Warwick, Tyler Tremarchi. We had guys like that. The only issue, I think the main thing that hurt us the most was we were all 5'10". We were skilled, but we were just lacking in that department, the height department. And then the next year we had some seniors who were very dedicated coming through. We won about the same amount of games. But we also had some juniors. We had at that point it was Colby Martin, Ryan Shirk, Tristan George, Brian Rockamp was still there. So we had some momentum, and Joey McCracken was a freshman starting. And we had at the end of that year, we had some real meetings as a team, and we had some real competitors who just basically said this isn't happening again. And from that point on, we had some real good additions to our staff, and we really basically decided that that was it. And when we took our lumps, and now it's time to see the other side. And we had a lot of guys make a commitment to work and who put in the time leading up to that point, and we were able to do some pretty cool things that year and this year as well.
I think I always feel for coaches that have kind of worked a program and not inherited like a lot of talent and, are at the top and they can't quite see the bottom, but you've been in all. So that's kind of cool. I mean, I think as a coach, you probably appreciate where you're at more than if it just was given, it's like, okay, we're just one or two every year. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's the guys now, I mean, Joey knows because he was probably the last guy who's playing a lot of varsity men's who was part of one of the teams where we didn't exactly have the success we wanted to. So him being the leader of our team and kind of, we got to remind where we came from and where we started and where we got. So yeah, it was a climb. It was a lot of work by our staff. And I mean, it started with junior high. I mean, we got some, my opinion on junior high is you want young, energetic. The kids love them. They want to play for them, and they can give you the time. And I think we have really had that, and that's really what gave us an opportunity to have a bunch of guys committed to the program. So I give them as much credit as those coaches, as much credit as our JV and varsity group.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Andy. Andy's seen. I mean, I saw a lot of your games last year. Andy's seen a lot of your games, and he gets to run with you guys once in a while. So he's got some inside scoop probably. All right, Andy, you're on, buddy.
I do have some inside scoops. Yeah, this one's a little bit fun because it's no secret that this gear fits like a glove for more reasons than one. Hey, it's funny, Coach, just you describing your, background and, up until, these last couple seasons. And it's funny because Dell and I were going back and forth. We were like, well, who should we have on next? And I was like, well, I don't know how much longer we're going to keep doing this series, but we might as well have the coach of the odds-on preseason favorite to win the league on.
Oh, there we go. Here we go.
We finally got him tonight.
Here we go.
But no, I mean, what I'm curious about, obviously with this whole quarantine situation and the mass shutdown and everything, when I think about that situation as it relates to high school hoops in particular, I guess the silver lining to it all is no one's really getting a leg up on anybody because it's so shut down. Like you're not getting a advantage on Ephrata, McCaskey's not getting one on you, so on and so forth. So obviously, if you're going to be the odds-on preseason favorite in my book, that has to mean that you have a lot of guys coming back, which you do. And you have that core nucleus that, you know where they fit. They know where they fit. They know their roles and everything like that. And sure, there's going to be a little bit of tinkering, with some guys here and there, but you're not having to reinvent yourself for this, upcoming year. I guess kind of a two-part or a multiple choice question here to start. With all that being said, has this kind of been more of a situation where when you can't have these organized team activities, it's not essentially all that bad because you know what you have once you get back into the swing of things? Or is it more of B, where it's slightly even more irritating than normal because you do know what you have coming back. And this is the time that you could be using to possibly, flirt with some more exotic things to hopefully get back to Township for the third year in a row, win that game, and, go way above and beyond what you've been able to do these past couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, like you were saying, no one's really got a leg up on anybody on what you're able to do. I mean, everybody's kind of doing the same thing, sending guys workouts, having them report back what's going on. So everybody's kind of in the same boat there. And what I think what's really unique about that is you can't assume everybody's got the same situation. So what we've done is kind of tailored it to everybody. What we're doing, the app we're using, there's basically something there available to you that you can do regardless of your situation. So if you don't have a basket, you can do this. If you do, you can do this. So it's unique in terms of that. I think we do have a lot of our varsity guys in a pretty good position. They have a lot of access to gyms and things they can and things they can but it definitely helps having so many guys come back that know what's going on, know the roles, know what we need them to do, know the system. Where we're not really total. I can't imagine being a first year coach. I literally can't imagine that.
No.
But just being able to have guys know what we're trying to do, and it's been nice for me to kind of sit back and take some time to look at some things we do well, some things we haven't done well, some things we need to change, how we can get other people involved. So in terms of that, it's been nice. I mean, at Warwick right now, we have so many multi-sport athletes that it's almost impossible to get them all in the same place at one time right now to really work on something. And if you do go over it, you're going over it again in a week because somebody was missing, somebody's different. So in terms of that, we probably would just be doing the same stuff we've been doing. And then once we got to the season, work on things, implement some new things that we can have everybody doing. There's obviously some spots we need to fill that I think the offseason would have really benefited some guys. I think more than that, I think no AAU is killing a lot of is really hurting guys. Because that's, you get out, you play with different people. You don't need to play with the same people. You don't need to play at the Lidditch Rec every day with the same 10 guys. That's not good. So getting out and being able to travel and go play their competition, I think that is extremely valuable. And not having that, I think, probably hurts us more than anything. But yeah, I think everybody's in the same boat. I mean, it is what it is. I'd much rather be in the gym. Like, I'm not sitting here going, man, we got one up on somebody because we're all not in the gym. Trust me. I would much rather be working on things and being in the gym. But we have a lot of guys who I can talking to and Zooming and texting and all that. I can tell that are doing what they're supposed to be doing and working for when we do get back, being ready to go. So.
Yeah. Hey, I want to actually, your personal background is interesting to the position you have now, right? Because you just said you played at Township. You're not a quote unquote Warwick guy, but obviously Township and Warwick, I guess those are two schools that aren't all that thrilled that they have to share part of a zip code with one another, but that's a different story. Okay? But no, seriously, you're a young coach, and for both you and I, selfishly, I'd like to think it wasn't all that long ago. So, but in that time from your playing days at Township, where you obviously have had to have some sort of a close eye on Warwick from playing twice a year to now that you have that coaching eye, because you never really forget that eye as a player. Yeah. I'm just curious in your opinion, as someone who grew up semi-close to the program and now you see it from an entirely different lens, why do you think maybe it never really quite clicked to the point it is now? I mean, obviously I'm from the inside, so I have my own thoughts, which I'll share off of yours, but I just wanted to get your inputs on that first.
Yeah. I can't really say why it maybe didn't click. I think it's high school basketball. I mean, the players you have, and that's how you got to set it up, and that's how you got to coach it. Not being part of that with Coach Landis and Coach Walk and not really knowing what was going on, how everything went. I can't really speak on it. I can say when I was playing in Township back in those days, I mean, we were very dedicated in the off season. I mean, you had basketball guys. I mean, it's a bigger school. You have basketball guys that this is what they do. And then we're the smallest 6A school in the state by one guy. So, I mean, we're sharing athletes. Like I think in right now we have a crop of unreal athletes that the second they put down a football, they need about 5 days and they're better than your average basketball player. So I think that's, like, I can say that the kids probably play more of a part in it than anything. But I mean, back like when you and I were playing, Warwick when I was a senior, Warwick was just as good as Manheim Township. I mean, you had Sheldon Griffin and you had Travis Gladfelder and Mike McDonald. You had John Lynn. You had Big Ed Tobin. But you had I mean, it was very. I mean, I think it was a split that year. I'm pretty sure. But I mean, it's a rivalry at this point. I mean, it's in my opinion, if it's not the biggest, it's one of the top 3 rivalries in the county, and it's going to be close no matter what happens. And I think you've realized that we've had down years, they've had down years, and it's pretty much always going to be a game. So, but the rivalry continues. I mean, it's fun. It's an awesome thing to be part of. And it was interesting for me in the beginning because I knew the kids. Like, I coached them on JV at Township, and it's not so much. I never really got caught up in that. It's not so much now because I don't really know the kids anymore. I think this past year, I guess you could say I kind of knew Zach Oldak, but the rest of them, I really don't know anymore. So the personal I coach them thing, that's kind of gone. So, but the rivalry's fun, and I wish we played twice a year. We got to get on that Cedar Crest Lebanon schedule. You play each other 6 times, but we enjoy the one time we get. So.
Yeah, I guess, again, from the inside perspective, I think what it really is you guys have hit the lottery. You haven't quite won.
Yeah.
You haven't quite won the Powerball because, like you said, you haven't found that one family to move away yet, so you can sneak 5A because you're still in that 6A path that is District 3 and PLAA 6A. But I mean, Section 2, obviously, on an average year, it's much more conducive for success, especially at a school like Warwick. Like you said, we're not all that large, and all on this call right now are Section 1 guys, and I don't think this is any hush hush or taboo thing. It's just different. Section 1's just different. I mean, when you're in field and Husky twice a year, it's different playing CV and Ephrata. And I mean, I guess the one exception would be Lebanon because that's a historically great program. But I mean, you think about it, your biggest adversary the last couple of years, E-Town. I mean, they won their first day playoff game, 3 months ago? So it's just a different world. And I think Warwick is much more better suited. Yeah. Especially on a year where you're not going to be, projected to get back to Township and maybe pick 2 or 3 in your section or whatever. You're going to find it's much more suitable and sustainable for success. And the other thing, not to blow smoke because you're on here, but I think it's you. I told Dell this, Warwick, for whatever reason, never quite got outside the family, so to speak, which, whatever, I didn't really get that. But I mean, kudos to Ryan for, stepping outside the box and taking a chance on a young guy with no varsity head coaching experience, especially from that school down the road. But obviously it's paid dividends. And I think we see it's working because, again, you're still a young coach and, you don't have that aura about you like, oh my God, my dad played for Coach Christensen. You don't have to worry about that. Right. You easily relate to the guys. They can relate to you. And at the end of the day, you have to have that respect because if you don't have that, you can just throw it all in the trash. It's meaningless. So, I mean, I think that's a big part of it. And that's where I think it, really shakes out. And that's why it's been, different now. And it doesn't seem from all accounts that it's going to really slow down anytime soon. So
I appreciate that. But I will, back to what you were saying about the sections, but that, not this past season, the season before, I will say that the first year in Section 2, it was a huge advantage for us coming from Section 1 and all of those guys playing that Section 1 schedule coming to Section 2. and not so much because of the Section 2 guys we were playing, because there's pretty talented teams in there. The crossover games and knowing the opponents and the players on the other teams better than some of the other Section 2 teams, I thought was really the difference in us being able to win the section that year. Yeah, like you were saying, Section 2, we get in all these debates about there should be 3 sections, there should be 4 sections, there should be this. I think it's great. I think the teams they're much more equal. It's just much more equal.
Right.
Now you have 6, and we played 2 5A, 4 5A games, I guess, compared to all 6A. But I mean, we had one family move away on 5A. So then I'd be sitting in Section 1 going, no, I'm the only 5A. So to me, it's and even if we went back, like CV, Lebanon, they're bigger than us. So it's not, we're not jumping them like we did in the past where we were Section 1 and they were still Section 2.
Mm-hmm.
So even if we went to 4. So, but I think it's a good fit. But obviously, like you said, E-Town, I mean, the last couple of years we've had just like absolute battles. I mean, that team, they've been super talented, and obviously Rocky's one of the best. And I mean, those battles are awesome. And I think Lebanon is, I mean, a couple of years ago they had the one player who got hurt. I think if he never got hurt, they would have been really tough. And I think next year they're just as good as anybody. Like I mean, they got some talent next year. So I think Section 2 is going to be pretty competitive in terms of everybody. So
yeah, but no, I mean, and to go off my last point there, I mean, it's like anything in life. If you have a relationship with a superior where you can have that close connection, obviously that's just going to be more conducive to success. And, you know, it's no different really in high school hoops. And I think we'd see that shake out no matter where they really place you guys. So that's that. The other thing I wanted to ask you, you've already kind of touched about this, but one of the biggest things in high school sports really anywhere is this, I guess, really the reappreciation of the multi-sport athlete. And I mean, you guys make your entire bread on that. I mean, you have golfers, lacrosse guys, football players, like you name it, they're all playing it. I guess I'm wondering from your perspective, why do you think it's working at Warwick from where, you know, when those guys come back from their own separate ways and they reconvene for you in the winter, why do you think it's been more, you guys have had more success than maybe some of the other schools around where they have, I don't know, 40% of their team doing hoops all year round and that's all they really do? Is there any secret thing to that, or is it literally as simple as saying they have that God-given ability to roll out of bed and whatever sports instrument they pick up, they're going to be great at it no matter what and no matter how long they need to practice for it?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple factors that go into this, I guess. I think there's a really good understanding from especially basketball and football. I mean, that's the most we overlap. Spring sports really don't overlap as much with the off-season stuff. But I think there's just a really good understanding of what everybody's doing. So for us, obviously you want guys lifting. Obviously you want guys in the weight room. The football guys don't need to be in the weight room with me. Let's go get in the gym. Like, we don't need to do that. Just having an understanding of what everybody's doing and the coaches working together and having a schedule. And like, I'll talk to Coach Locker and he'll send me their summer schedule. Well, guess what? We don't have summer league the same night they have 7-on-7. So, and I know you don't. So it's kind of like, if you're not there, then you need to be here. There's no, and it's with everybody. There's no, this is the priority. This is the priority. I'm not doing this. It's not like that. And as you know as well as anybody, you don't get better with age with basketball. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that if you didn't do anything to make yourself better, you're not going to get better. So that's part of it. Is just finding time, and us and the coaches working with the other coaches to find the gaps of when we can get athletes in the gym or on the field or whatever. Now, the other part of it is we have a group of athletes who, basketball-wise, have played AAU to get, especially right now. have played AAU together basically since they've been in 7th grade. So in terms of that, and every weekend finding times to play and being at the Nook or being in Atlantic City playing there or Ocean City or wherever, they've been playing together a lot. And they play together a lot all the time, whether it's pickup, whatever it is. So they're constantly playing together, even when they have other stuff going on in the off seasons. They're still able to do things. Now, them themselves take extreme pride in being good at multiple sports, which is awesome. We have this conversation a lot that it's like, hey, you were first team in football. Why don't we be first team in 2 sports? And it's kind of like a competition that goes back and forth. And we challenge guys. Like I would joke, Connor Adams is a guy I could challenge all the time. He's obviously was like an unreal wide receiver. Like, are you gonna be first team punting? Like just stuff like that, and them finding time to work, and they take really good care of themselves. They a lot of them have it's a luxury to have personal trainers and stuff like that, and being able to do things to really take care of yourself in terms of like we have guys going to stretching 4 hours before our game to at an off-site gym, getting stretched out, getting themselves like activated, ready to go, and then they come in. Like it's a whole. Let me put it this way: when I was in high school, when you were in high school, I'm telling you right now, nobody was doing what these kids are doing. But just getting themselves ready to play all the time, taking care of themselves. Because if you're going from football, especially, I mean, you're a quarterback, you're taking a beating, you're a running back, a wide receiver, you're getting hit, you got all kinds of bumps and bruises, and to take care of yourself so well that because you know that when it's over, and with our football team being successful, you know when it's over. I give them like a week or a couple of days off, obviously, to get it back together. But you know you're jumping right into another sport. So if you're not taking care of yourself, it's going to take a long time to get back. So them taking care of themselves and being ready to go from the jump and not taking a month to get themselves into basketball shape or into baseball conditioning is a credit to them. And that's part of the success we've had as a school, I think.
Yeah. Hey, funny story though. You've said this is an entirely different athlete walking around the halls of Warwick, and trust me, it is. But here's a funny story of how I think that's best evident. So I was on the 5th grade travel team at Warwick, and we played over at Landisville Elementary or middle school, whichever gym it was where they have that stage on the side.
Yeah.
So
let it tell.
Yeah. So we tipped it probably, I don't know, 6:30. And the varsity team Warwick was playing McCaskey at home that same night. So our game finished. We come home from Landisville and we go into the gym, and they're playing McCaskey, and we show up late, and this is like vintage McCaskey where if you're not there early, like you're standing. So we come in to the gym, and obviously anybody that's been through our gym lobby, as soon as you come through the gate, that first immediate right is like the first entrance you have in those double doors there. So we get in and we're standing along the baseline, and that scoreboard down at the other end, it says something like home 45, guest 06. And it's like, I mean, that can't be right. That scoreboard's got to be messed up. There's no way Warwick is beating, Dustin and Perry and Akeem by like 39 points. So they hear us chatting on the baseline there. And finally somebody's like, oh, no, don't worry. It's 106-45. The scoreboard doesn't go that high. So like, that's just how different it is. I mean, outside from a few good athletes like Ian Decker and, Ty Flowers, I mean, the teams were just bad. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And, it's not like my generation was, really something to write home about. But I mean, just think about it now. I know this is a different sport, but now we have football guys going to like, BCS level schools, 5-star. Yeah. We couldn't even get a kid on Rivals back in the day. And that was when you could, maybe pay somebody like, hey, I kind of know somebody as somebody. Let's at least get them in the database. I mean, it's an entirely different world at Warwick, which is, really, really cool to see. Boss man, I got a couple more for him. If you want to jump in, you can go ahead.
You got 7 minutes, brother. That's what you
7?
got. Yep.
Okay. Okay. I do have a final question I want to ask you, but again, most of this audience that watches this, they're going to be well aware because this is going to be an LL primary, audience that watches this. So they know how good you've been here locally. But for whatever reason, once you guys got to districts the last couple of years, you haven't quite had it, and you've, been bounced pretty early. So I guess, do you at all, I guess simple question is why do you think that is? And, to piggyback off of that, are you at all worried about scar tissue with this group once they get back to that point again this coming year?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, the 2 years ago, districts against Central York, if you win and paid money, you should have been refunded. But yeah, I mean, I'll put it this way. I think probably 2 years ago, we really gave it our all to get to that league final. And I hear there's different opinions, and being one of the smaller schools in 6A, to get to that league final is it means a lot to us. Now,
yeah.
I can't say that about everybody. I'm sure if you ask Coach Smith, who's won it numerous times, and he might have a different opinion on it, that he wants to get in districts and do that.
I can promise you that. I can promise you that.
Right. So I mean, at the time for us, that's it. That was it. It was get to that point.
Right.
And then by the time we got to Central York, we were the emotional high of playing Manheim Township in the league finals, your rival, and coming up short. We looked deflated, which I think we were. Now you do your best to rally and get yourselves together, but that year we were pretty banged up from that run, and we just didn't get it done. This past year, our run through the leagues, I compared to the year before, I think it was definitely even more Cinderella-ish this year than the year before. Really, we spent time. Chase Crawl, who played 95% of his season on JV, we spent a week going, Chase, I'm telling you right now, you're going to play. So if I ask you if you know something, don't say yeah to make me happy. Say no so we can learn it and move on. So we spent a lot of time doing that. And then I think this year it was kind of the same story where we used all we had, and the injuries, I think, really caught up to us by that point, because earlier that year we played Governor Mifflin at Garden Spot, and we won we literally won by like 35. And we had it clicking. That was our best year. We were not 35 points better than them by any means. But when we got to that point, we were losing double overtime. You're missing a bunch of starters, and obviously our goal moving forward is to take that next step and get that done. And 6A is different. You lose, you're done. A lot of these other 5A, 4A, you can lose and you can play 5 more games and lose another one and keep winning. So it seems like you're playing longer. But 6A, you got to win that first one, and we haven't got that done yet. So that's one of our goals. I think this year, like we were talking about earlier, it puts us in a good spot in terms of, I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but the year before, the first year we made to the league championship, and the second year, not one kid started in either of those games. It was 5 completely different guys. Mm-hmm. So for me to be able to have that happen and do it again, that probably means more to me than anything. But this year, we'll have 4 guys who started in a league final coming back. Yeah. And to be able to do that and try and take that next step will be good. So
hey Andy, I got an LO Hoops question for the coach.
Go for it.
So we're running out of time here. My question is, Coach, this is like we've been doing some live streaming for the last couple of years, and we're flirting with a pay-for-view. How do you think that would go over for the LL finals? $5, you pay, you can watch a game. You got a month to watch it. What do you think? You think people would go for that or not?
Yeah, I think LL finals. I think for sure. You got all kinds of people wanting to join. I think we had a former manager from Germany watching.
Yeah.
Like that. You're gonna have people who if you can't be there, and you're out of the area, I mean, I think it'll work, especially for that game. It's
Okay,
awesome game.
we're flirting with it. I mean, the LL charges money, so it's just like it's kind of like one of those things, like what do we do, what do we do, what do we do, type of thing. But I did want to tell you, last year's live stream, we had over 2,700 hits so far, so it was cool. I know, it was a cool thing. I know we've done it with you for 2 years in a row, and I just wanted your input on that. Hey, congratulations. We love you on the Twitter. We love talking to you. We love your gear. Andy loves your gear anyway.
Free stripe life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's all good. It's all good. Hey, I got to end, but it's good seeing you. We hope to see you next year.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for all you guys do.
Yep. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks.
Good night.